Yo guys, what's going on? Robert Warshack here, and we just got a massive Blizzard update, probably one of the biggest ones they've ever released. I know it's actually the biggest Battlegrounds update they ever released. We have like a Battlegrounds update, which is huge. We have a Standard update. We have a Twist update. We even have Wild updates and a Wild expansion. I don't even know where this stuff came from. As a person in the content creator Discord, I figured we'd get some form of heads up about something this large, and it was kept in wraps pretty good. So this is very surprising for me, and there's a lot to cover. So new update, Caverns of Time. I'm not going to go over the Battlegrounds stuff because I don't play Battlegrounds, and I don't want to pretend like I know what I'm talking about. If you play Battlegrounds, you probably don't watch me. All right, so we have Wild exclusive new cards. So stuff like Eye Stalk of the Cthulhu, a 4-mana, 1/1 taunt and lifesteal. Whenever your Cthulhu gains attack or health, this does too, wherever it is. So it's like a mini Cthulhu, which is kind of cool. We have a 4-mana shaman thing where it's like totally totem, summon 5, all basic totems, overload 1. So the old spell power totem, for those of you who've been playing Hearthstone a long time, you remember the old spell power totem and what that could bring. We have a new 7-mana priest dragon battle cry. If your deck has no duplicates, discover a dragon and deal damage equal to its cost to all other minions. That is like the most priest dragon I have ever seen in Highlander Priest. Is was once a very annoying deck with Raza and Zephyrus, and this just seems crazy too, and I'm glad I don't play Wild. As cool as these wild cards are, it's hard to want to come back to that format. I'm sure it'll be fun. Maybe I'll give it a go. You guys will let me know. Maybe you guys will tell me if it's good or not to go into, but there's just it's called Wild, man. It's called Wild. So what do we got here? So the Infinite Dragonflight is trying to go back in time and change the way of the battle of you said who? Went against the old god Cthulhu. The fate of the world and the true timeline hangs in the balance. Guys, we have to figure it out. It's up to you to hold off their attack or join them instead. Caverns of Time is a new type of Hearthstone expansion, including card reprints, new cards, and some new card cosmetics. It's also Hearthstone's first ever direct Wild expansion, meaning all the cards will not be legal in Standard and can be balanced towards Wild, which is huge. One of the main reasons that they can't really do a lot of Wild stuff is because the Standard cards are balanced for Standard, which are also part of Wild, and if they're going to change Standard cards, they're also changing Wild cards. However, they can balance Wild card once they fully rotate into Wild, and then they can balance Wild cards for that particular format, which they've never done. They do it like very infrequently. They'll change some like game-breaking cards, but they never do like a huge revamp like, okay, these sets are rotating into Wild. Let's revamp some of the really bad cards in the set to even make them almost memeable in Wild. And they never do that. So, I mean, it's cool that they're releasing, you know, a Wild-only expansion, but I don't know. It seems kind of weird after all this time. Why, why now? And also, it launches October 31st. That's like really that's 2 weeks away, right? 2 weeks, 3 weeks away. I mean, that's just insane, right? That includes 147 cards, 113 buffed reprints, and then 34 new cards. So we have 34 new cards. So it's not really like an expansion. It's like a mini set, right? You're getting like a mini set worth of new cards. And in Wild, that's like a tiny little molecule of like cards, right? Considering how many cards we have in Wild. The rebuffed reprints, can we just say we buffed the cards? Hopefully this expansion isn't hopefully they're not charging for this, right? I'm assuming maybe they would charge for these, but I swear if they charge for the buffed cards, like there's no price or anything. I don't think we'll look over it, but yeah, they're definitely, you can't include buffed reprints in like an expansion. You either make a new card or you change an existing card, but if they charge to buff a card, chat, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm just gonna say it right now. Because if like, let's say in your collection you'll have like this card that didn't get buffed, and then you have to buy this mini set or expansion, they're calling it an expansion, to then unlock the better version of your old card, I will flip, because that is the most rigged. That I don't even want to go there. They would never do that, right? They'll never do that. Anyway, seems exciting. There's a lot of cool stuff. Caverns of Times pack are also included. Special signature versions of other iconic wild cards, which is cool. So you can get like signature wild cards in the new packs, which I'm sure look great. Signature cards are a big hit. Glad they did them, and it was fun hunting. I actually have a series coming out for those of you who didn't know. I was on the hunt for a golden, the Civ from the new expansion, right? And it took 15 years, about $1,400, and many ups and downs. But we'll see what happens. I'm releasing that series soon. I actually just finished editing all that up. Keep an eye out for dedicated Caverns of Time blog coming October 22nd with more details about the 34 new cards and the special signature variants and more. The 113 wild cards are getting buffed with patch 27.2. These are cards that are being reprinted as part of the Caverns of Time set. If you already have these cards in your collection from their original release, they will automatically be updated with the patch. Okay, cool. All right, this is huge. All right, this answered the question earlier. If you don't already have the cards, then you can still get them through all the current means or from the Caverns of Time patch once it goes live. Okay, and then they have the list of like all the cards that are changing. I'm not going to go through all this list. I don't play Wild. I don't know what these impacts would do, but the fact that they're changing all of these cards for Wild, I mean, it's going to have to like make people interested. So again, Wild, for those of you who don't know, includes every expansion and card set that Hearthstone has ever released into one format, which means the format is exceedingly powerful. We're talking about the most broken mechanics, broken cards, just OTKs are happening. I mean, I've seen it OTK on turn 1. We're talking about that level of power here, where your opponent doesn't get to play the game. It goes start of turn, you win. Similar to like maybe Yu-Gi-Oh! I've heard that happening there. So this is the power level of that format. It's not for everybody. They try to balance things when they can. It doesn't happen very often unless something is like super crazy broken. But like winning turn 1, your opponent literally didn't even go to their turn. So with this huge card pool of cards they've already created, I think this is a way for Blizzard to be able to sell more of those cards. We have a lot of new players coming in. We also have a lot of veteran players. And why not push players to purchase things that we've already made? You know what I mean? Them selling old packs and old expansions costs them nothing and just generates money. You know what I'm saying? So releasing expansions like this, all these cards already exist besides the 34 new cards, which is basically a mini set, which is a fourth of the work of an expansion, right? It's a fourth of the cards. So they're releasing what is an expansion, which is basically just a mini set. Hopefully they're not, again, charging expansion prices, but it's just less work. They make a lot of money if people end up playing Wild, because people are going to want to build all these different decks, and there's a ton of different decks to build, and there's a ton of cards to have, right? We'll see. Definitely, I don't, when companies do things like this, I'm always skeptical, right? Because they do it for a reason. They're a business, they need to make money. But at the same time, is the fun level match the price? And for Hearthstone, the fun level has always matched the price, to be honest. In comparison to other card games, Hearthstone is by far like the cheapest, now the most like giving game. I mean, just look at Marvel Snap or Magic or any of those games online. I mean, it's so much more expensive. The free player decks they give you, the free packs they give you. I mean, Hearthstone, it's gotten so much better over the years for those of you who've played and been with us since. I mean, the just amount of, I don't even know what the proper word, it's not the word, it's not progression, but just like free shit they give you. You know what I mean? The free to play friendly. I mean, it's just absurd. Hearthstone does a really good job and had like they've implemented so many things. So that's one thing I can't. They didn't always used to be like that. There was never always a tavern pass thing. There was no end of the month rewards. There was no returning player decks. There was no here's some free packs, no in-game events. There was none of that. None of that. So now we have all of these things that sometimes we maybe overlook just because we've been playing for so long. But Hearthstone has come a long way, guys. Like, believe it or not, Hearthstone has, it really has done a fantastic job at like being a really free-to-play friendly, new player friendly game. So huge, Twist is back. A format that I think that will be really good. Its original release, in my opinion, was really bad. They picked what was one of the worst metas that I can recall recently, was the quest meta, right? Quest mage, quest shaman, quest warrior. I mean, all of these things, they just weren't fun. And they basically, it's the meta we just had. They made this new format of Twist have the meta we just got out of, right? We had the new year, all of the sets rotated, stuff went to Wild, there was new stuff in Standard, and then they brought back the same meta we had with a new mode. Terrible idea. What they should have done is what they're doing right now. So Twist is back on September 1st, which is super exciting, right around the corner. At your local ladder reset time, we'll be kicking off the first official season of Twist. This season will feature the Wonders format, a fun throwback format celebrating the early years of Hearthstone. It includes all of the expansions from Legacy, not Core or Classic, through Mean Streets of Gadgetzan, one of my favorite expansions. Plus new cards from the Tavern of Time set, which is really cool because we get to play with the new cards in Twist. And then we have 34 new cards, so I don't really know how that's going to work, if we're going to have to craft those. And again, that's kind of interesting, right? So if you want to play with the new cards that are in Wild and Twist, you now have to buy this expansion. So it's a way for them to like sell standard players who want to play Twist new cards that are only for Wild, that are only going to be in the set for a month. So again, we found it, right? Here, this is a perfect way for them to sell you an extra expansion or mini set for a monthly rotating, which can get you to go to Wild so you can buy more packs. Anyway, it's launching 31st. That means the legal sets will be Legacy, not Core Classic, Curse of Naxxramas, Goblins vs. Gnomes, Black Rock Mountain, the Grand Tournament, League of Explorers, Reno Jackson, Whispers of the Old Gods, One Night in Karasan. In my opinion, one of the worst sets to ever go. One Night in Karasan was absolutely horrible. This is strong hate towards that particular adventure. Horrible, actually horrible. Mean Streets of Gadgetzan, and of course the Caverns of Time thing, which is coming out a day around the same time, right? 31st, and then this launches September 1st, so pretty much the same time. So this, super exciting. This is going to be a very fun meta, in my opinion. It's going to be great. There's going to be a lot of old memory and nostalgic factors of just cards that you used to be able to play and what that meta is going to look like. Again, the Caverns of Time thing with the updated stuff, we'll see how that pans out. Some of those cards, again, they're going to get buffed. We're going to have Jades. I think it'll be a good time, and I think it'll make some really great content. I'm looking forward to that. It gives us something to do besides just spam Standard, which has honestly been pretty fun lately with the new set as well. So tons of stuff coming to Hearthstone, tons of things to do. I'm pretty stoked. There will be no Demon Hunter or Death Knight classes in the first season of Twist, as they didn't exec during the Wonders era, so there's no special rules modifier for the first Wonder seasons. The twist is that you get to use buff cards and the brand new cards from the Caverns of Time, along with all the other stuff that, you know. You can then learn more about Caverns of Time and this new Twist format in our dedicated Caverns of Time blog coming August 22nd. So, all of that stuff. Now, we have balance changes for Standard, which is huge. I was actually, it was very nice of them, since I'm part of the Discord thing for the creators, which I can say now. I had an impact on the cards that are being changed here. I can't say exactly what was recommended or all that stuff. I can say that I got to talk to devs, and a bunch of other people did too, and about these changes. And we had, you know what I mean? There's a lot of value that can be brought from a lot of the Hearthstone, whether they're content creators, pro players, developers, or whatever, us chatting about problematic cards and what sticks out to being changed, and then what changes those should be. And it feels good to see, like, I can't tell you exactly, but it just feels good to like type something out and then see changes, and then some of them come true. Like, directly see it, which we've never had before, which is super cool. Hollowhound, instead of a 3/6, he is a 3/4. The main reason of this, in my opinion, is so he just doesn't stick around, right? Like, right, with the 6 health, he trades. Most of the time he lives, and then you have to deal with him the next turn. If you don't deal with him the next turn, you pretty much lose. There's just, the healing is insane. I personally, Hunter right now has way too much of everything. They have healing, they have card draw, they have OTK potential, they have burst, they curve you out, they have secrets, they have everything. They have everything at all one time, and they just kill you all the time. And I don't think Hunter, it needs to calm down. And this makes Hunter calm down a little bit. Another card that makes Hunter calm down is Costume Singer. I think this card was the best 1-drop in the game. It was a 1-mana 2/1. Most of the time, deal 4 to 6 damage and draw 2 to 3 cards. Not a lot of decks have 1-mana removal anymore. It's just not something people put in their decks. Yeah, people put Silence in their deck for 1 mana or whatnot, but there's no 1-mana sorted boards anymore. You know what I'm saying? So, like, this guy would do so much. So bringing down his attack to a 1/1 now makes him a little less OP and a little bit more fair. Granted, Hunters will still play this card. He's still going to draw the secrets, and he's still going to do damage. He's just not going to blow out the game and deal 4 to 6 damage to 1-drop and draw 3 cards. That is actually insane. Bioluminescence. Huge change here. Old going from 3, new is 4 mana. This card right now is involved in killing your opponent in 1 turn. If you haven't seen it, posted a video on it. Nature Shaman. It can do upwards of, I think, what is it, 86 damage in one turn. It's just not fun to play against. They can get this off on anywhere between turns 5, which I've had them OTK me on turn 5 while I'm at above 30 life, to turn pretty much 8 or 9, which they will always have their combo around 8 or 9. So this going to 4 mana delays them being able to kill you because they need to play Bioluminescence by roughly 1 to 2 mana. And 1 to 2 mana is 1 to 2 more turns. So instead of dying on turn earliest to 5, 6, and 7, we're dying on more so like 7-ish the earliest into 8 and 9. Feels, in my opinion, a lot better. If there's going to be a deck that can kill you from 30 life, let's not make it happen on turn 5 or 6 or 7. It needs to be at least turn 10, in my opinion, like 9 or 10, depending on how well they draw. If they're going to kill you from 30, and there needs to be some setup here. It can't just be like, bam, 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 you're dead, turn 5, GG's. There was no playing around it. There was nothing you could have done to stop you from dying from 30. It was just, you were never winning. And I don't think that's fun. I don't think you guys think that's fun. And it needed to be changed. Thaddeus. So this card, not fun in my opinion. He was fun, but then people abuse the fun. And they abuse him to the point where they put this card in, whether it was Druid with the Whomper and the Flesh Behemoth, or this guy, or it's Warlock with the Slime. I call it Barnes Warlock. It's just getting a 10 mana 11/11 out on turn 4 or 5, and then them playing infinite 1 mana cards, whether there's Symphony of Sins, more Thaddeus's because they did it, Dark Hand, whatever it is, you lose. Getting blown out on turn 4 or 5, very similar to getting OTK'd on turn 4 or 5, not okay. So this card did lead to that. Unfortunately, though, there were some memes with this card and a lot of things that like stuff like creators like Clark and like Mark did with Thaddeus to make a lot of their crazy combos possible. So unfortunately, with a nerf like this, will hit content creators that do those crazy, wacky 1 in 1,000 game type things. But for the health of Hearthstone, I think cards like this, again, need to be changed. So like there's always going to be blowout stuff in Hearthstone. You know what I mean? It's a card game. There will be games that you just get blown out. But we can adjust how often you see this when you play the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you play Magic, you're going to get mana locked. If you, whatever, you're going to get aggro down and you're not going to draw removal. These things happen. It's a card game. But there's always ways to kind of like decrease it a little bit, make it a little bit more well-rounded. And cards like Thaddeus definitely stick out. Down with the ship. This is a Plague Death Knight card, a new deck and archetype to arise from this past expansion. The old is deal 3 damage to a minion. If it dies, shuffle 2 random plagues in your opponent's deck. The new one is deal 3 damage and then just shuffle 2 random plagues in your opponent's deck. So you don't need to kill a minion, and this card can hit face now. That's a pretty big deal. This is a big change for this card. Now the card is just really good, right? You don't have to kill anything, and it can go face. This made Plague DK like a lot better. Definitely a lot better. It has burst now. Mythical Terror. I don't see the point of this card. It had 3 attack and now has 4 attack. This card never saw play anyway, and it will continue to see no play. I'm not sure what's going on with this. We could have done a million other things for Death Knight, and it didn't involve anything that had to do with whatever they're trying to. I understand. Big Death Knight. We've had Big Death Knight. We've done Big Death Knight. For the past ever, we've had Big Death Knight. Ever since the Death Knight, I keep saying Death Knight and Demon Hunter. I always mix those two. I always interchangeably use them. And you guys can yell at me, and I'm pretty sure you guys do too. I say Death Knight, and I mean Demon Hunter. I say Demon Hunter, and I mean Death Knight. Because both start with D, because they both can suck dick. I'm just kidding. Ever since Demon Hunter came out, it's always had whatever be Pick Commander or whatever. So like this card is just not exciting. I don't really care. So this Frost Lotus Seedling, again, I'm just not excited about this card. It's never been exciting me. I haven't played in any of my Druid decks. There's just better cards right now, but instead they changed the level 1 of it from 4 to 5, and then the 10-1, the second version of it's 8 to 10. So it's just a little bit more armor you get for this card for the cost, which is, I guess, good. 10 armor and draw 2 for 3 mana after 3 turns in hand, but that's just a lot of... Sit in your hand for 3 turns is a lot of turns to do nothing. Jade, or I should say Yellow Men Paladin getting a buff here. From 6 mana to 5 mana for the Disciple. This card was really, really slow. Really slow. So it did go down a health from 6 to 5. But that's a small price to pay to go up a whole mana. Or to go down, I guess you could say, a whole mana. So that's big. It's much better now. Tur, instead of 7 mana, he's 6 mana. So now you can, again, that's 6. This is 5. You know what I'm saying? It's 5 into 6 into the 6 into 7. This is a big difference in regards to the turn that you can play these guys to try to get what you're trying to do done. Again, I don't think this should be a good archetype. I don't think just playing a bigger and bigger yellow man in 2023 is the most exciting archetype, but it's fun for a little bit, and it shouldn't be just absolutely dog shit. You know what I'm saying? It could be okay. You're allowed to be okay. Just don't make it great. decks like Curve Hunter shouldn't be just absolutely obliterating the meta, considering you play the 1 mana card on 1, the 2 mana card on 2, the 3 mana card on 3, the 4. There's very little thoughts going on in the Hunter decks right now and the pure Paladin decks. I think those decks can be good. Don't get me wrong. They should be good. They should be fun. But they shouldn't be the best decks in the game with the level of thinking required to play them. I like a little bit more thinky in my deck. Ancestral Automation. This guy went from a 1/1 to a 1/2. Again, one of these cards that just the more you play, the bigger they get. Very similar to the Yellow Men. I don't think I have played against a single person playing this deck. I played this deck the day one of the expansion. Super exciting. Was surprisingly a really fun and decent deck. I have a video on that as well if you want to check it out. But yeah, fun card. I'm going to play it again when it gets buffed, and we'll see how well it does then. But it did well with me as a 1/1. So I'm surprised. I'm honestly surprised they touched this, because this is one of those things that they touch them a little, and all of a sudden this is a problem. And I don't think cards that, again, the whole point of the deck is to play it over and over and over and over and over. Like Pogo Rogue was fun, but it was never broken. It was always just like a meme, right? And that was a good meme. So hopefully this stays in the meme category and not the good category. Harp, 2 mana to 1 mana. It's pretty good because this weapon was insane, right? Like, if you'd have told me Harp is going to go to 1 mana when this card was played last, like, meta, I would have said you're nuts. And now it's going to 1 mana, which is nuts. So, pretty big. Right now, Harp doesn't even see play in most Warlock decks. There's no reason to play this card. You can just... Why play a card that heals you when you can just win on turn 5 and not die anyway? You know, do you see what I'm... Like, there's no reason to not die when you can just win on turn 5. Why heal if your opponent never gets to play the game? So, this going to 1 mana, we'll see how Warlock does when Thaddeus gets nerfed. I'm thinking we're going to move back to the curses and more like lifestealy stuff with Darkhand. And this we'll see play again, but we'll figure it out. Bladestorm, Warrior getting buffed. Woohoo! All right. 3 mana to 2 mana. Same effect. Sure, I've been on this. I've tweeted about this a bunch. I actually just tweeted about the Warrior deck I've been playing, and it's really doing well. But problem with Warrior is Warrior AoE is terrible. All the Warrior AoE we have now is designed back in 2020 or 2014 or before, right? We have Brawl and Bladestorm. That's the only AoE Warrior has right now, both of which were designed a long time ago. Bladestorm is generally bad because it most of the time doesn't kill more than 1 minion. It's like a shittier Defile. It's like a reverse Defile, and Defile is amazing, and Bladestorm's not. And then we have Brawl, which, again, you're paying 5 mana for an AoE that may not work, and it doesn't kill more than, like, if they have 2 minions, it only kills 1, and it's a 50-50 on which one's going to live. Again, if you're paying 5 mana for AoE and you don't even know if it's going to work or not, to me, that's not a very well-designed AoE card, especially on a class that needs it because they have nothing else going for it. Warrior's in a really tough spot. Yes, buffing Bladestorm will help, but we just need a complete redesign of, like, all AoE cards for Warrior. I don't know who's in charge of this. Like, Shield Shatter was a great Warrior removal. You needed armor. It did a set amount of damage, and it did it to your minions too. So that's, you know what I'm saying? And then, like, that card went away, and now we're stuck with Bladestorm and Brawl. And it's just not good. And we can tell it's not good because Warrior is the worst class currently in the game. So hopefully whoever designs stuff like Shield Shatter designs more stuff like Shield Shatter. And whoever's telling us we need to keep playing with Bladestorm and Brawl can just, like, not... They can go balance Paladin or something. Or Hunter. Stone Skin Armor going from 3 mana as a 3/4 to 2 mana as a 2/2. We're losing out on 2 health and 1 attack for 1 mana. So as much as I want to say this is a buff, like, the stats kind of, like, matter a little bit, right? Like, yeah, you play this for 1 less mana and you're playing this for the draw effect anyway. But, like, make it a 2/3. Or, like, the card is still not that great. The card at 3 mana, 3/4, it's like slightly better, but it's still bad. You know what I mean? If it was a 2 mana, 2/3, then it's like at least an almost good card. Almost good. Not great, almost good. But this is still like right in the middle. You know what I mean? When mages have 0 mana draw 2 or 1 mana draw 2, and I have to play a minion, I have to have armor, it has to change that turn, and it costs 2 mana. It's a requirement on a minion. There's 2 requirements, 2 mana, and the armor must change. Like, this just, I don't know, man. I know the hero power can do it. Instead of turn 5 hero power this guy, it's like turn 4 hero power this guy. But like, just stop printing really annoying warrior cards. Just print okay ones, or in my opinion, good ones, because I like warrior and I'm biased. Craftsman Hammer. After your hero attacks and kills him, and you get 4 armor. So their new one is just whenever your hero attacks, gain 4 armor. This is how it should have been. I don't know. Again, I don't know who's designing the have to kill a minion, gain 4 armor. Just adding a requirement to what is a 4 mana 3/3 weapon that gains 4 armor. Again, when we have decks that can kill you from 30 at 5 or 6 mana, like 30 damage, like, or more for 5 or 6 mana, and then I look at a 4 mana 3/3 weapon that requires me to kill something to get 4 armor. There is a disconnect somewhere here, and I don't know where it is, but we gotta figure it out. Trial by Fire, 7 mana to 6 mana. This card is shit. Summon 5 1/1 Valkyries with Rush. When one dies, give the other +1/+1. Like, it's cool. It's like, you know, everybody compares it to like Scale of Onyxia or whatever. This card needs to be 6 mana, and they need to summon 6 Valkyries. Or you make it 7 mana and it summons 7 Valkyries. Don't be 6 with 5 or 7 with 5. It's 6 and 6 or 7 with 7. Make it consistent. Make it good. Make warriors stand a chance. I don't know what these shit warrior cards are, man. They need to hire me. I actually applied to be on the final design team. I don't think I've heard back yet. I don't think it's taken a while. I don't know if I'm gonna get it, but we can all hope, chat. I'll save warrior. Put your faith in me. All right, so we have the new in-game event, which is good because it's good. Get packs and shit. You get some full art stuff I see down here, and these looks like packs of the Battle of Encourage. Hopefully I said that right. I know I made some weird face at the start. I'm pretty sure it's Encourage, right? Like, that's where Cthulhu is. Starting on September 5th, join the Battle of Encourage with a special in-game event celebrating the launch of Choice September 6th to 19. Complete event quest, get XP. Yeah. Get packs of the old stuff. Yeah. This is good stuff. We like in-game events. We like getting free stuff. This is what I was talking about. We also have the Heroic Tavern Brawl. So, as stated in the past, whenever there's a Heroic Tavern Brawl, shortly after is the mini set. So what they try to do is they get you to spend your gold on the Tavern Brawl because the rewards are so juicy. Get 12 wins and the Heroic Tavern Brawl. You get 50 packs, 1,100 dust, 1,100 gold, and 3 golden legendaries. A lot of streamers do this. It's a fun thing. Oh, let me scroll down here. Sorry. A lot of streamers do this. There's a lot of YouTube videos of this, but it is bait. It is bait to get the players who think they can do this, and it siphons your gold away, and then you don't have enough for the mini set. They do this every single time. Do not, unless you're very confident in your gameplay abilities, or you just want to throw away money because you like to gamble, or you just want to have fun and this is what you spend your money on. However, if you're a free-to-play or budget player, and you think you can get ahead by doing something like this, the answer is no. Do not do this. Save your gold, buy the mini set. The only people doing this are the whales, and the really good players are the people who are doing it for free because their stream is donating for them to do this for free. They don't give a shit. There's a duels update, and we got some bug fixes and stuff. So yeah, huge stuff. I mean, we've been going over this for like, I think 30 minutes now. So there's so much stuff to cover, and we didn't even go into like the super specifics. But yeah, a lot of good stuff here. Glad that we're getting a balance patch and just update this big. It shows that Hearthstone, there's a lot of meat still here left. They're working hard at giving us, as much content as they can, and it's exciting. So super stoked. Looking forward to next month. We got a lot of stuff to look forward to, and if you have any questions, comments, and/or concerns, of course, the comment section is there for you in this video, and I'll try to respond back to as many as I can when I can. So thanks for guys for watching. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Robert Warshack. Happy whatever the hell day it is.